Welcome, dear readers, to Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed, but not read, by yours truly. My name is Kaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
And we find ourselves once more amid the... Whoa!
Are you all right there?
What are you supposed to say to it? I'm fine, I'm on one of the hebdromedaries that we mentioned last week.
Hey-ho silver? No.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, do you remember how I was talking about how I was going to be a good library naturalist and just observe them in the field? Like... That's just not my style.
No. I see you went into the taming them, putting a jacket over their back to get them used to your scent, and now you've actually managed to get on top of one.
Yeah.
I've made to rub you off against one of the bookshelves.
I can't quite tell what the deal is. I mean, they are these seven-humped, headless, legless creatures, so I don't fully completely understand.
Kind of shambling along.
I'm kind of digging it. So I've rearranged some of the cabinets, right, in order to make a sort of a little paddock.
Yes,
right. It's only temporary. Hey,
good. You put British literature next to Friends romanticism, and that really won't do.
Only briefly, and I noticed some sizzling, and so I put time travel literature in between them. And that seems to have calmed both of them down.
Well, it's usually confusing enough to keep them on their toes.
But speaking of confusing. I've noticed that as soon as I physically move one of the racks, like the numbers on the side change between blinks. Like, is that supposed to happen?
I think they're pretty much self-numbering.
The Dewey Imperial system is really quite brilliant.
It's kind of like the system they use in certain supermarkets nowadays with like a dynamic pricing.
What?
They have little LCD displays instead of like price tags on the shelves.
See, I've been in this library for 61 weeks now, so has the world plunged into an even deeper pit of capitalist nightmare?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's more like a sliding slope.
That way, wasn't it?
Kind of like
it is.
One of those coin collecting things with a black hole type thing in the middle, and we're kind of like swerving around the capitalist drain right now.
And hoping that if we orbit fast enough, but no.
If we get lucky, we might get knocked out by a bigger coin, but unlikely.
Which is kind of appropriate for this week's book. So let me just, I should probably read some horse books and try and come up with some proper terminology for putting away one of these hebdromedaries.
I think it's called...
What's it called? Stabling? It's hobbling. Yeah.
No, hobbling is when you tie the front legs together so that they can't move too fast.
That doesn't seem possible with dromedaries. I mean, I can't even tie them to anything because there's no, it just slides off the hump. They're these headless, legless creatures that sort of wobble around.
Well, in that case, the fencing will probably do for the time being, unless they manage to ooze their way out underneath one of the shells.
It's quite a comfortable ride.
Unless it's trying to rub you off against French literature.
I don't know that it knows where it's going. I mean, it doesn't have eyes.
Well, no, but that doesn't make it any better for you.
Yes, and we did have the perfect transition previously, so let's go back to that. The what was it? What was that great?
Something about this week's book.
Yeah, there was something about this week's book previously that was just such a great... The Capitalist Nightmare.
That was the one.
Yeah, so what do we have in store for our readers this week?
This week's book is by Christopher Stasheff. It's called Her Majesty's Wizard.
Yes, and if you look down at your podcasting device, you should be seeing the cover of today's book. And if not, you can check the show notes for an image and a link, or you can go to covermyasscast.com, where the image should also be gracing your screen.
And it will also be attached to this week's Twitter post announcing the new episode.
That's covermyasscast at twitter.com, and I keep somehow making everything into an email address, don't I?
I think it's just at covermyasscast.
Yes, that's right. And on this cover, we find, it's one of the more straightforward covers that we've done.
It is. There's either Her Majesty or it might be one of the... we'll get to that later.
Yes.
But, and of course, the person on the right, it has to be the wizard.
Yeah.
With
we have a purple gown-clad young woman, flaxen hair, and regarding her is a swarthy, red-bloused gentleman in cocky black pants. Smacking the back of a giant lizard.
You wouldn't believe how many kids you can fit in one of these.
Whoa!
Well, it's like...
you won't believe how many orphans this fucker can eat.
Yeah, it's the used car salesman vibe that I'm getting from this guy.
Because...
The court wizard has a side business selling used dragons, but his carefree hustling days are numbered once he accidentally fulfills a tragic princess's prophecy and discovers fate has not only a cruel sense of humor, but also the tax department on speed dial.
I love that it's the very clear quotation marks around used dragons.
I think in the book they're referred most of the time as gently used dragons.
Yeah. Only had one owner, and she was a little old lady.
Only took her raiding on Sunday. days.
Yeah. So that's the patter that we start with from the court wizard Lazy Sweet Larold.
Oh yes. Well, he does have the 70s porn stash,
and the
little golden chain, which I can't quite make it out in the. But
he's got quite some dark curly tufts in his cleavage.
Yeah, and it looks like he's got a dollar symbol on that little thing.
And when he's at court, he wears those cool flared pantaloons.
And don't forget the loafers that he's clearly.
Yes, the comfortable, but
yes,
those are fucking loafers, aren't they?
Apparently, the cover was done by Daniel R. Horny.
Horny?
Well, it's not got an E at the end, so...
No, okay, so then it's Horn.
I know. But it's funnier if you say it like that.
I have a friend named Horn, and on the occasion of the anticipated birth of his first child, he petitioned his wife whether he could call the upcoming male child Maximus, but she, like the rest of us, observed that, yes, Maximus Horn is a porn name.
That is, in fact, a porn name.
So I think Daniel Horn...
Horn, yeah, okay, well,
Ornay, maybe he's Daniel Ornay, yeah.
Daniel R. Horny.
They definitely did a good job, I think.
On the subject of peculiar names, it's like there's this man who, his wife, one of those tragic stories where...
another one.
When this wife gave birth in the cab on the way to the hospital, and so he named the kid Carson.
Oh no! Okay. Yes, the names in this story I did think were kind of telling, because the other people that we have on this cover.
Oh, there's only one person. The other one's dragon people,
individuals. So we have the violet gowned Princess Ponzi.
She's always scheming.
Yeah. She's. She does live in the Royal Pyramid.
Yes, there you go.
Which is their curiously shaped palace that has a sort of odd tax construction. But
the royalty lives at the top floor, and everybody else kind of contributes. And I think it's like one of those food pyramid things, where you want a little bit of the top, and then
good stuff,
and then you need more towards the bottom.
What's the regular food pyramid?
I think that's the original one was.
Is it like fat, protein?
I think
carbohydrates.
It's obviously in great need
sugar,
of revising.
Fat, protein,
probably. Yeah.
Carbohydrates. Then where's vegetables? Carbs, I guess.
Yeah, no, the vegetables is right at the bottom where you should have the most of. So yes, the bottom is vegetables and fruits.
So starting at the bottom, vegetables and fruits.
Then it's wholemeal cereals and breads, potatoes, pasta, rice, and it's milk, yogurt, and cheese. Then meat, poultry, fish, eggs, and the top is fats, spreads, and oils.
So which of those could you live on exclusively?
I think you would have to go with the fruits and vegetables one.
Yeah, if that includes nuts, which are also quite fatty.
Right, yeah, exactly. I mean,
because if you're being straight up, I mean, aren't nuts way fattier than most meats? Pound for pound?
Perhaps, yes, but...
I mean, there's a lot of calories in nuts.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I believe, a couple of handfuls of cashew nuts and a red bell pepper should completely cover your nutritional needs.
Wow, that is extraordinary.
I mean, I love cashews. They're delicious, but...
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, red bell pepper for your vitamins and minerals, I suppose.
I'm a bit of a slut for macadamias, but they do play up on the old...
Macadamias are a little bit too fatty for my taste.
Well, I have a slight allergy to peanut oil, and macadamias also trigger that, but sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes I just pop an antihistamine and have myself some salt of macadamias.
A little bit treat. Oh, yeah, okay.
And speaking of indulging in things that aren't really good for you, I mean, that's kind of the style in the court of the royal family of Ponzi. That's why they attracted Lazy Sweet Larold, who, I mean, he doesn't really do much... what we would call magic.
He seems to have a good control over dragons.
Very much so. That thing that the court appreciates him the most for is he's rather a wizard with numbers, particularly money.
It always seems to work when he's giving his presentation with his...
Yes, exactly.
And that's about the most magic we'll see from him, is when he's doing his presentation, he's got this beautiful projection type thing on the walls.
Yes, he has a magic lantern.
Yes, the power word point seems to be his most most useful spell.
Emanating from his point of power, that's right. Where he presents these very convincing using pictures of the country's economy always to justify like new taxes or restrictions on payouts to soldiers or whatever.
And more money to his department, really.
It seems to be like not only tolerated but gladly exploited by the royal family of the nation of Ponzi, who appreciate him not just as the court wizard, but an expert in coin cleansing.
The kingdom has done its own coin minting type thing.
Yes.
And of course, like always, like the same thing that you had in the United Kingdom, sort of Great Britain before then, when they were still nominally operating on a gold standard. I believe it was in Newton's time, where there was...
Whoa, okay, so
when you had the gold sovereigns, I think they were called at the time. It was technically a fiat currency, but it was still made from gold.
Okay.
And the idea was that the coin actually still had the right value of...
it was worth as much as it claimed to be worth.
Exactly.
If you melted it down for the metals.
Yes.
Right.
However, due to imperfections in the manufacturing process, some coins were a little heavier than others.
Oh, no.
So the wizard has his little side business where he is taking all the coins that come in and he's weighing them. And the ones that are underweight are put back into circulation because they have a fiat worth.
Yes, that's right.
And the ones that are slightly overweight
are cleaned very thoroughly.
And then melted down.
Very,
and
very thoroughly cleaned.
And sold as pure gold, or even filed down a little bit. Although, of course, there's security measures to prevent exactly that, which is why the ridges in the side of a coin were originally formed.
Yes, so that you can tell if it's been ground or
these
shaved.
days they're used for identification purposes, especially for visually impaired people, so they can actually easier tell which coin they're holding. But the origin of those ridges is to make sure that like nobody could have been filing off the edges to get themselves a little bit of gold. But if you melt down the entire coin, then you don't have that problem.
And then you can separate it into its constituent metals. What a cool thing for a feature that started out having a particular use, preventing coin grinding, becoming useful for helping. Like, I understand that this is a problem for visually impaired people in the United States.
All bills have the same size.
Yes, so you have to like receive an envelope of a known value and then like mark them yourself by folding them a certain way.
Well, that makes
whereas
sense.
the euros are all just different sizes.
Yeah, you can tell from the size whether or not you're dealing. Oh, hello! It's our little librarian.
Oh, the little librarianess! Oh, you're covered in hebdromedary fur, darling.
Oh dear! Now she knows how it feels to be covered in someone else's fur.
Not such a problem with dragons.
Although scaling season is just a bit of an annoying thing.
That's not a thing, is it?
Well, it's like snakes shed their skin. I suppose dragons do the same thing.
Oh my goodness! Can you imagine?
I can, unfortunately.
What? Okay, which part are you imagining? Finding a huge, like, hollowed out dragon skin, or watching a dragon trying to back out of its skin?
Both.
Look, have you seen a snake?
Yes.
Okay, you've seen that.
I used to have a housemate who kept snakes. Remember?
That's right.
I've seen the process up close.
And you had a housemate who kept rats.
Yes.
What good friends they were for a while.
A week or two.
Yeah. I mean, there was a useful détente, much as there is between Lazy Sweet Larold and the Ponzis, who turn a little blind eye to his side hustle, trying to sell these used dragons.
Gently used dragons.
Oh, that's right. His latest gently used dragon is Tobashi, named for his ability to just fly away. There are some, flying over your head. I see the gesture that you're making. There are some economy students who I'm sure will appreciate it, because in the real world, this is a scheme that was used by, I being a photographer know about this, Olympus, the Olympus Corporation was found guilty of siphoning off like about $2 billion worth of their own sort of profits in order to pay off debts and losses that they'd concealed. And so it's about making money disappear to cover losses that you didn't report.
Oh, okay. It's fraudulent behavior towards your shareholders.
Oh, yes. It's immensely fraudulent.
Because at first you withheld losses and now you're withholding profits, and you're hoping that nobody
And you're doing both simultaneously.
And you're hoping
neither of those are... Yeah, exactly.
You're hoping nobody notices because they're going to cancel each other out. And it's like, if we reported it, then it would have worked out just fine in the long end. But
it would have been bad in both cases, because people would not have invested so much. And if they had invested, they would get a bigger return on that investment because their profits were...
No, but it's like, I can see how the reasoning would... And who did that? The Tobashi company?
It was Olympus, but Tobashi means fly away.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what money does. It just sort of flies away.
Just like,
But so it's kind of an appropriate name for a dragon. We see him on the cover trying to sort of show off to Princess Ponzi, who's become rather interested in what the coin cleanser is doing with those dragons. He's clearly trying to offload Tobashi, who's been with him a little too long.
Well, it's like used car salesmen do. It's like, the car's been sitting around in the lot. It's been eating up
it's
capital.
Priced to move.
And I guess used dragon salesmen have the same problem. It's like you put in an order with the company, and they send you a bunch of models that they can't get on. Especially when you're getting new into the business, like the importer just sends you a bunch of cars that they haven't been able to get rid of. And
good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Now meet your targets.
Yeah, so here he is doing his spiel like, what kind of dragon do you see yourself in today?
Being a princess,
he says.
Well, I'd rather not see myself in any dragon. But...
Okay, what sort of a dragon do you see in you? No, he cuts himself off there. And he realizes that Tobashi probably isn't going to be it. I mean, you can see how Tobashi is sort of...
intrigued.
Glaring at her. Like, that's not eye contact that he's making with her. Like, that's straight for the décolleté of her gown. Yeah. His tongue sort of snaking out there.
Is there a tongue?
There's a suggestion.
Oh,
I mean, there's not a tongue, but there should kind of be a tongue.
Yes.
I mean, you can see why.
And he's like, look at these horns. They've been recently filed. They're all down to spec.
And this upholstery, I mean, it's dragon scale.
Scales. They're smooth. Recently shed skin, so you're not going to have that problem.
Imagine yourself on here, astride, riding into battle.
Well, considering those spikes he's got in his back, it doesn't look like a particularly comfortable ride, this dragon.
Says Princess Ponzi. But of course, Larold is sort of smoothed that over. You know what? You're right. I mean,
throw in a saddle for just a small markup.
Yeah, I just need to talk to my liege,
which she is, strangely enough. But
yes, she does point that out. I mean, she's no pushover, this Princess Ponzi.
No. I mean, she knows how to hustle herself.
So he says, you know what? Maybe this just isn't the dragon for you. I've got two others. They're fluffier. They're considered extremely unreasonably valuable, and I've named them Bubbles and .com. You just won't believe what they're capable of.
Yeah,
what are they capable of? Oh, fucking anything.
Yeah, they're natural hoarders. They will attract money, literally attract money. You can go flying home and it will come flying up to you.
Exactly. It's like, do you remember how I sold your mother those golden retrievers? They retrieve gold. I did it for us. So, Princess Ponzi is not there to buy dragons.
No.
She is there to
figure out what's going on. I mean, she's noticed the numbers going wrong.
Yes, because that's our job.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
As we say here in the Netherlands, geld moet rollen, money must roll.
Yeah.
Preferably my way.
Uphill when you live in a giant pyramid, preferably. Which is a little bit complicated.
It needs a little bit of help to get that going normally.
And so Lazy Sweet Larold is completely floored when she reaches into her décolleté and withdraws the evidence of his various schemes, because she has his secret document, the Panama Parchments. Yes. On which
I still wonder how she managed to get that entire scroll down her décolleté, but
yeah, well, there is nothing that I can say in this tone of voice that I won't edit out.
No, very good.
Now, Lazy Sweet Larold is, of course, terribly panicked at this point, so he does the only thing that he knows how to do, which is try and sell a dragon. He just triples down on it. He draws back out Tobashi and he goes, okay,
pulls out all the bottom shelf. He'll sell them as a loss.
I tell you what.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You know your business way too well. I'm going to knock some off the price. I mean, he does have a dodgy, like anterior wing humerus. But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll try and get some, I'll try and repair his caudal spade. Do you know what a caudal spade is? It's like the
tail spade.
Tail spade. Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
I'm going to file down his halaxes. Do you know what halaxes are, darling?
No, the horns.
Oh, good guess, sweetheart. But actually, it's the rear-facing claws.
Oh.
Those are the halaxes.
Isn't that called a dew claw?
That's on mammals.
Oh, okay.
Mammals have a dew claw, and that's a toe that's just moved up.
Yeah, it's basically a thumb that's gone up to.
Sort of, yeah. But on dragons, obviously they're not mammals, so we call it a halax because it's actually a rear-facing thing.
I did not know that.
And, she's not terribly impressed by all of this, but as her eyes are glazing over and she's waiting for a moment to confront him with this, she remembers what the old spinster woman told her. The prophecy of the spinning wheel, where Now, I think that old spinster lady was maybe just a little bit high and just saying some bullshit.
Well, as they tend to be. I mean, like, she was pickled in sherry for about 15 years, so that makes about sense.
And so she remembers the prophecy, the dragons will threaten the pyramid.
Ooh, yes.
Which is going through her mind as she sees Larold, like, just reciting and mumbling about all the various features and just naming lower and lower numbers to try and distract her. And she remembers the second portion of the 3-part prophecy.
Yeah.
The second portion, which is even more, like, appropriate. The princess of the star will seduce the wizard of coins.
And
who
she
could
goes,
be
like,
the wizard of coins?
Well,
yeah.
I mean, the reader obviously is like getting whacked around the head with the obvious clues here at this point in time, but the princess kind of doesn't catch it. Although maybe I guess she doesn't know, about Lazy Sweet Larold's coin
yes,
shaving.
please, this is a formal occasion.
Yes. Not Larry Larold. Yes.
Yes, that's right. I mean, she does start to notice the firm way that his shoulders fill out his red blouse, and she opens her décolleté just a little bit more to let some air in, wafting herself with the Panama parchment.
And she's heard the prophecy, and she goes like, I'm not going to give into it. I need to get out of here.
Because he is fulfilling my spinster prophecy.
Exactly. And so she decides to buy the dragon, which, of course, still technically fulfills the prophecy. Because she goes like, as long as I don't give in to his manly charms, I'm sidestepping the prophecy. But of course, like, being seduced into buying the dragon, as far as the prophecy is concerned, is
prophecies are sneaky, aren't they?
Yeah, prophecies are a bitch. It's like the Russian space program.
Yes, like whatever you hit, you call the target.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the prophecy goes like, gotcha. Like, she goes home with Tobashi. Tobashi
leering after her. He's not a great dragon. She would have probably been happier with Bubbles and Dotcom.
At least you can take them for a good ride as long as you get off on time.
Oof.
What?
What? Oh, that's okay. So no, it sounded like you were making a dirty joke thing, but in fact you were. No, I know.
What? A dirty joke. And there's a little bit of an ominous sign when you see when you describe the silhouette of Tobashi perching on the pyramid with his claws to the setting sun, and there's
was kind of
this
ominous,
dark silhouette that we see from the dragon. Prophecy triggered, disaster. Well, called down, not avert. What's the opposite of averted?
So now the pyramid is threatened,
yeah,
and she's been seduced by the Wizard of Coins. And what's now supposed to happen?
Next day in the kingdom of Ponzi, up shows a character by the name of Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus, I suppose it is. Which anybody who's familiar with the Bible enough should recognize as the tax collector who was whom Jesus went into the house with. I think it's a nice little touch of the name.
That's interesting.
Namesake here, who shows up, and he's like a new little hire in the Ponzi pyramid, which is
yes.
And he starts
running a cleargyman
who starts running through Lazy Sweet Larold's numbers.
Just Larold to my friends.
Larold, Hazy Sleet.
Wow.
Hazy Sleet Harold? No.
The joke is right there. You don't need to run circles around it every time.
Oh, okay, one can try. And starts to figure out what is actually going on. That he's not making money of selling his dragons. He's making money of doing the coin shaving thing, basically.
It's part of his coin cleansing operation.
Yeah, he just needs to get as much money moving through him so he can weigh as many of the coins he can and make sure that he gets the good ones.
The sheer scale of the operation.
Yes, and
dragon pun.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Okay, yeah.
Our good Zacchaeus goes up and Princess Ponzi and goes like, "Hey, do you know what I figured out?" He's figured out the
point of Larold's power.
That's the one, and uses that to give his own presentation to the princess.
Now she's in a very conflicted position, of course. I mean, she still has the parchments of Panama stuffed down her bosom.
Yes,
she knows quite a lot of this already, and how much of this does she want to get out into the open?
The decision is very easily made. Take the wizard and you nail him to the cross. You pin everything on the wizard.
And once Zacchaeus makes this proposal, she said, yes, this is what we're going to do.
Right, and
scapegoat,
scape. Exactly. Basically, the auditing company of Fink & Co. gets brought in to have a look at this, and they're basically basically tax, not tax collectors, but like, how do you call it? Tax filers,
sort of
tax
romanticists.
Yes. And they're mostly
to say.
like, we're not satisfied until you're not satisfied.
And the Kingdom of Ponzi, while initially very worried that this might draw scrutiny on their own practices, now see an opportunity.
Yeah, we didn't know anything. The wizard did it all. We're going to
that beautiful universal never fails apology. I was horribly misinformed, and this issue will be looked into with the greatest diligence. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Here is a fuck ton of money.
We are looking
just
into
for
it.
you.
Yes,
yeah,
and make this problem
make it go away.
Yes.
Pin it all like saddle Sweet Laureled with the rest of these debts.
Yes, I mean just make it their problem.
Yes,
and like with every tax problem, there is a simple, straightforward, uncomplicated, and wrong solution.
Yes. And as he's being dragged away, Lazy Sweet Laurel actually claws his way back from the precipice of ruin when he makes a suggestion so profoundly useful to Fink & Co. that they immediately decide to hire him from the Ponzi.
Yeah.
His suggestion, of course, being that all of Fink & Co.'s fees are deductible but still taxing.
Yes.
Everyone is happy. Everyone is richer.
They managed to get him to turn around. All the evidence kind of points somewhere else, and it was not really anybody's fault. He gets off with time served and a community service, which he gets to serve with Fink & Co.
Yes.
And it's just I think it's a big metaphor for basically corruption in modern day society.
He's never punished.
He's never punished.
Because the only people who are real victims
are the taxpayers.
Are the people of Ponzi who
their taxes end up paying for everything.
And we close with Princess Ponzi sort of dreamily thinking about how everything works out when you're just rich enough. Everything will always work out for you because there's so much money orbits you that everyone wants to scoop it up. And we see her drifting off to a dreamless slumber, reciting the words of the spinster woman and finishing the prophecy to her and our great confusion. So the dragons will threaten the pyramid. Well, they certainly did.
Yeah.
And the princess of the star will seduce the wizard of coins. When the dog planet comes? Yeah. So I kind of wonder what... And there was a question mark. I don't like it when prophecies have question marks in them.
No,
when the dog planet comes...
Prophecies are supposed to know shit, not be like...
They're still supposed to be ambiguous, and the word coming is a little bit ambiguous, but hey...
I don't know. Planets don't tend to come, or at least if they do so very regularly.
So...
Orbital mechanics.
Okay, no, orbital mechanics. Okay, good. Okay, good.
I mean, unless it's volcanic activity, but maybe that could be construed as...
Isn't that more like acne?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you've got short-volleyed outbursts, and you've got the long, gratuitously flowing ones. I mean, the last one in Kilauea took 7 months or something, 6 months of continuous. It was a bit of a drizzler.
Lord, okay. Okay, so how are we going to rate this book?
Well, we're dealing with dragons.
Pyramid.
Gold, silver, bronze.
Oh, gold, silver. Well, that's a Western way to look at things.
True.
But that's the one that we have accessible.
I mean, the alternative is earth, wind, fire, and
water.
Water.
Isn't that a traditional one? Or the
white?
Are they humour dragons?
Humour dragons?
The blood, phlegm,
those humour.
yellow
that
bile,
kind of humour.
black bile,
and I thought you meant stand-up comedy
jizz.
and
no,
I mean, it is a humour, I suppose.
It certainly is.
I mean, you've got the Chinese dragons, which come in green, white, and red.
Yes. So jade. Oh yeah, mahjong.
Yeah.
So red is, what is it? Red is party and war, and white is funeral, I believe?
The symbol for the red dragon is the same symbol as it is for China, which is the kingdom of the middle, which is the kind of rectangle with the upright line to it.
It's been so long since I played mahjong.
So that's
But I do believe that jade, green, stands for enlightenment.
Yeah, fat is the... Fat.
Oh, yeah, the Chinese word fat. Okay, sorry, yes.
And then
I thought we were returning to the food pyramid.
No. It's and the white one is just a blank tile, which I always liked. It's just...
Oh, yeah. Well, because it's death, right?
It's a mourning color. It is a mourning color, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so, it's just gone.
I mean, we can make it complicated. We can grade it green
This is cover my ass. Complicated is where we go. So we're grading it green out of gold.
On a scale of bronze to gold, we'll grade it green. Yeah. Yes, that's going to make absolutely good sense.
And speaking of ratings, if you look down at your podcasting device, you should be seeing some kind of star. Oh, the Princess of the Star. Maybe that's it. So hit that star button if that's on your screen right now, and maybe it's a heart button, and otherwise just leave a review, but preferably for an episode you haven't listened to yet, because that's just fun.
And just make up a review.
And speaking of episodes that we haven't listened to yet and books that we haven't read yet, what do we have in store for our reader next week?
Next week's book is by Judy Shaintlin. Beauty fades, dumb is forever.
True word for never spoken. And that about covers it. Thank you for joining us at Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read by yours truly. My name is Kaki.
And I'm Kay. And remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
Ooh, get along, little doggy. Come on. Do you want to ride one of these head dromedaries with me?
Giddy up. It's like motion sickness. It's more like sea sickness.
It's the motion of the ocean, baby. Like you're going to sort of ride the wave. Okay, so you see it's sort of turning.
It's more the motion of the ocean and then not the flow of the fluid ooze.
Not the pronunciation of the bowl.
The flu of the ooze and the motion of the ocean.